Hi everyone and welcome to episode 18 of the ITSM crowd. Today we are hugely privileged to be joined by Andie Kis. Andie is someone that I've known for many years now, and she's got a really deep expertise in areas including business relationship management and service integration and management. So Andie, if you'd like to kick us off please by just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your background.
Yes, hi everyone. So my name is Andie Kis, and at the moment I'm working as a senior consultant for a company called ISG, Information Services Group Europe. It's an interesting way how I ended up in consulting, because I started my career in a multilingual IT help desk, working for a company called EDS. They were quite, I would say, pioneers in outsourcing and providing service desk help desk services globally to many different clients. So it was an accidental career ending up in IT, sitting on the metro back in Budapest in Hungary, reading the newspaper, the metro paper, and it had a full-page advertisement looking for people who speak foreign languages and know something about computers. I was a trainee journalist and working as a teacher sometimes, had no money, and it was very tempting to find a proper job as somebody fresh out of university and everything. Went along to an interview, plush offices, and my journey to IT began and became my career. And I enjoyed and I really loved working in a service desk, and this is why service desk topics are always close to my heart. Then from a service desk, I moved to become a service desk team leader, a critical incident manager, service delivery manager, and then I got headhunted and became a consultant specializing in science, service integration, and then I got headhunted again and joined my present company. So in brief, that's who I am.
Fantastic, thank you. And I'm Claire Agutter. I'm the lead tutor for ITSM Zone, and I'm going to be hosting this chat with Andie today. If you've got any questions while you're watching us live on YouTube, you can use the hashtag ITSM crowd and we'll pick those up during the broadcast. And again, if you want to contact us afterwards, Andie's on Twitter, and also you can contact ITSM Zone on Twitter. So Andie, you mentioned then about working on the service desk. Now, my career in IT started on the service desk as well, and I kind of feel like everyone in IT should have to work on the service desk. Do you think it's a good place for people to start?
Absolutely. I think one of the reasons it's a good place to start is because you learn the nitty-gritty of being on the ground, facing a variety of issues. As a service desk analyst, because I'm not a technical person, I might have not understood all the issues, but I knew how to use the relevant skills of communication, speaking and calming down angry customers, or assuring nervous people, customers who were in rush, who were unsure what's happening next. And then on the way, while I was doing this job, I learned a lot. So my technical knowledge is not coming from doing something technical in a university. It was being on the service desk and just learning how things are. So it wasn't just a simple picking up the phone and being kind and polite and taking a user ID. After a while, you recognize trends and you recognize information, and then you're able to solve this information. You build a rapport and relationship with others, in technical resolving groups, and your knowledge broadens. You got to learn more. You're able to recognize issues which might not be reported as critical issues, but you recognize this, and it's a wealth of knowledge which you can't just obtain without having a practical experience and doing it.
And do you think having that time on the service desk as well helped you when you moved into a business relationship management role? Were you more aware of customers and how customers use IT?
I did, yes, absolutely. And I felt that it gives me this extra knowledge. It gave me the extra knowledge of understanding the perception on IT, because we often forget, especially when we are working in roles which are not straightforward, daily interaction with the customer, that or you only interact with customers on different levels depending on your roles. You forget that the perception on the the generic perception on IT is about what experience you had when you contacted IT, and you contact IT via the service desk. So I use this example, real life example. I travel, I come and go, and I often see IT issues. And only when not yesterday, day before, I was flying back from Germany, and I have an e-passport. I landed in Heathrow Terminal 5. The immigration queues were going really quickly. And I always go through the e-passport, the e-gate, because of my passport.
Mm-hmm.
The screen in the front of you, which shows you the status while you're scanning your passport to cross, a black, like this config screen came up with like config messages running on it on the little black screen, occupying half of the other screen. So people got all confused. And then a security personnel came, two of the gates, and then a third gate started to show the same config, like error screen. And their reaction was, oh, it's IT again. We don't like IT. Now we have to go to help desk, and they are terrible. And then I thought immediately, because of my line of work, I wonder who does service desk support for these security gates. Because it made me very curious and interested. Why do they have this perception? Oh my God, oh no. You rather go and use the human, like gates instead of the e-gates, because we don't like calling the help desk. So something must not be right there if that's the reaction, because it should be, oh, IT error, we call the team, and we know exactly how long it takes for that team to respond and sort out that error with the e-gates. And then we were able to tell people who are queuing, don't use these free gates for another 10 minutes, or, even if you don't tell people, just guide them to the other gates. Between yourselves as, security personnel, you would know that these free gates are out of action for another 10, 15 minutes, but then you will be able to, push the flow of people through those gates again within 10 minutes. And we know that in a busy airport like Heathrow, especially in Terminal 5, 10 minutes can be a lifetime, especially if all the flights are arriving around the same time, and then the queues are just exploding, and you feel like that, you will never get through security.
Yeah, and I think we almost forget now that 10, 15 years ago, when I was starting out in IT, if the IT systems went down, it wasn't the end of the world, because the business processes were still kind of harking back to when we could do things manually. But now IT is so embedded in every single area of our lives that it's how we get around, it's how we work. And the Business Relationship Management Institute they're very keen on the fact that we don't talk about aligning IT in the business anymore. It's looking at how they actually converge, and that's such an important concept, because IT is supporting every single business process. It's embedded in every single business process.
Exactly.
So you moved into business relationship management in your career. It's a phrase that's often confusing for people, because business relationship management can be talking about a role, a process, a capability. What does business relationship management mean to you?
It means all three of these. So while I never held an official job title of a BRM, Business Relationship Manager, the capability, the process was part and vital part of my role, whatever role I was doing. I wasn't that conscious about it until I would say 2010, when I started to hear the phrase used not just as part of a job title, but summarizing the type of the skills, the requirements, the capabilities, the activities somebody will do. And then they said, oh, you're actually doing business relationship management. So I'll give you an example. I was working, one of my favorite roles of my career. I was a service delivery manager for Macmillan Cancer Support.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the loveliest companies to work for. I had a very good team, very good manager, and the customers were Macmillan employees of all levels and layers. And because of that, I felt very, very conscious as a service delivery manager to understand what do they need and what impact IT has on their lives. So for example, Macmillan has this buses which go out to remote communities to talk about cancer and give assistance and, you know, like information services. And in that bus, they park in a supermarket car park or in a town center. They had computers, laptops, a printer, so they can print out information for those who come on the bus. And of course, they required connectivity. Now, when they went to some remote corner of Wales, where there was no possibility to just simply connect to Wi-Fi, it was our responsibility to understand what do they need and what we can give them. And it wasn't a question of, oh, well, we give, you know, I don't know, like a VPN, whatever, little dongle to all and everybody can connect. Yes, if you are always in a city, in a town where you have good connectivity, but when you're on a bus like that, it doesn't work like this. So to understand the impact, because one of the, I remember, because people, when they seen these buses, you know, the general public, they came up to talk about sometimes topics which they never talked about with anybody else. And it was very important that IT does not give them a hindrance to those Macmillan employees, but it will assist them and enable them to do their job. It was similar to the helpline, which was a free phone number, you know, for all to call all kinds of cancer-related questions, issues, whatever you have. I never forget when we had a managed telephone supplier who conveniently forgot to tell us that the free phone number, their contract with the free phone number provider expired, so the free phone number is not free anymore. So whoever called the charity, you know, got a message to say, you're being charged, you know, extra, and, you know, like the usual, whatever charging, when you call a number which is not a free phone number, but one of the 0845 numbers. And we weren't aware until somebody who called Macmillan reported it to the helpline. And then we contacted IT and said, oh my goodness, this is the message that people are getting. And again, a massive impact by IT. And to make sure that our supplier understands. And they said, oh, well, it's going to be fixed in a week. You can't do that. So these are the type of I would say, I can tell many, many more stories, but I think when we talk about, you know, bridging the gap between IT and business, like you said, what the BRM Institute is trying to achieve, it's about recognizing that it's not about bridging a gap so we hold hands and become best buddies. It's about understanding that one does not work without the other. And so a business cannot operate without IT. And IT needs somebody to provide services to be able to operate. Otherwise, what are they for?
Yeah.
You know? And but I think it's quite a high and big responsibility on IT's shoulder to understand the impact they could be having, not just on the customers, on the business they support, but on the customers of that business. So another example, real life example, I was traveling to Nashville, in the States. It was a busy airport. And we already crossed security, everything was fine. And then we reached the baggage reclaim area. All the luggage belts were running. But on every single screen, there was a Windows update, 2500 running on the screen, big blue screen saying Windows 25 of 100. 10 minutes, you know, Windows up 32 of 100 was still running. But despite of this, the luggage belts were still going. So the luggage has been being dropped out by the staff behind the belts, who is, you know, getting the luggage, scanning the luggage, whatever, and they put it on the belt. Of course, because I would say 90% of the people travel with black luggages. Plus there were 14 or 17 belts, I can't remember exactly the number, definitely around 14 or more. People were walking up and down trying to locate the luggages. then total chaos ensued because not many people managed to pick up their baggage, trying to walk around and trying to find the right one. The belts started to get crowded, so they stopped the belts because there was no more space to load luggages with. Then an airport employee appeared, and with trying to shout over the crowd with a printed out paper going, "Flight from Miami," with a voice like a little mouse, "Flight from Miami." And people saying, "What did she say? What did she say?" shouting. Another 15 minutes passed before another airport employee arrived with a loudspeaker. And then people were saying, "But was it the Miami flight, which is the whatever, American Eagle or Delta Airlines?" Or, you know, total confusion. I have a luggage which is recognizable. It's Marvel superheroes, so
Nice.
I picked mine up. But I thought I'm going to wait it out because I was curious how long it takes for this Windows update and the reboot to run. After the Windows update completed, the screens rebooted. You could see the reboot screen. 37 minutes altogether.
Wow.
Now, I could easily imagine that that was within an SLA, an IT SLA. But the chaos, the total, I would say, like stress of the employees and the effect it must have had, not just on those who had to try and come and calm the people. People were saying, "I've never been in the worst airport in my life."
Yeah.
And there was nothing bad with Nashville Airport. It was a very calm, not too big airport, but because of this situation, everybody thought it's the worst airport. Of course, the airport employee on the loudspeaker who tried to give the information where to collect the luggage, he kept telling people, "Oh, it's IT. IT is terrible. We hate IT." And it always comes back to this. They are not going to, people might say, Nashville is the worst airport because of that experience, but they say their IT is terrible because of their IT. And it always comes back to this situation. If you don't understand the impact, if you think that running a Windows update on, you know, the baggage collection belt is fine because you're within the SLA, then you're wrong. It's about understanding the impact. How many flights are arriving and how many luggages won't be loaded or won't be collected because of that update. And I think this is how we should be measuring and thinking of any kind of activity we do in IT. Not about how fast we were and then celebrate that we can do 10 minutes SLA, but we can celebrate to say that the customer we are supporting, if it's an airport, did not lose 25 customers on that day or frequent flyers because they were happy with the service. And I think businesses do that anyway. Customer experience, customer excellence is a topic which is not a new topic in the business side. IT is just waking up to that, and I keep hearing, along with BRM, almost like a fashion to customer excellence, customer experience is starting to pop up in more and more conversations in IT conferences, but still not enough, and still quite short-sighted because it doesn't think further than the immediate customer of IT, and it has to be further than that.
Yeah, and I think in that example, the airport employees and even to the customers, it's fairly obvious that this is an IT issue. But from a customer perspective, you don't really care, do you, whether it's an IT issue or it's a business problem or somebody didn't fill in the change request form or whatever it might be. It's the impact that affects you, and that's what you're bothered about. You don't think, "Oh, that airport had terrible IT." You think that airport was terrible and I'm going to try and avoid that. And this kind of comes back to how closely IT and the business work together now, and it's only when something goes wrong that we start to point fingers and say, "Oh, well, it's an IT issue." I mean, we talk about IT needing to be better in terms of customer experience and, you know, designing things that are going to meet the business requirements and be resilient and robust. Do you think that the business maybe needs to be better at directing IT in terms of what IT actually needs to provide?
It's not just about being better at directing, because I think demand and information and requirements are coming quite clearly. It's more like about trusting IT enough that they can deliver of what we are requesting. So we are going to request the full picture, not just what in our heads we might, have an impression of what IT might be capable. So I'm thinking it's a two-way street. Absolutely, it's a two-way street. And I have worked with projects, or I have worked in situations where when both sides understood, what is possible and how, and that communication, and this is why BRM is extremely important, because that bridges is not the right word. It's almost like the right interpreter to make sure that it's understood. So if, let's say, there is a business demand to make a business service faster, better for the business's customers, but IT knows that they are unable to do that due to the capacity, it can be team capacity, you might not have enough resources, might not have enough capacity in their current infrastructure or IT technical setup, to support that requirement. But often, if you say to the business, oh, we don't have enough server CPU or whatever, I'm not technical, that doesn't mean anything. You have to, and this is why BRM is important. How do you able to give that information in such a language, in such a format that it makes sense? Because it's not unreasonable. And then vice versa, it has to work in two-way thing. If somebody says, oh, but this is critical, if the business says, all 20 of our services are critical, we want from you. I think it's very important to understand and ask why exactly. What is that impact? They can't be exactly in the same way critical. They might be, let's say, critical, but the impact of them, the urgency of them, the type of reaction or perception of them might be different. And I think that's very, very important. And one thing I'm very, very happy about, that I can see how the material, the knowledge book, the general, how to say it, like information shared and produced by the Business Relationship Management Institute is exactly about this, helping and understand people in their journey to enable them how to be better at BRM. And I have very, very high respect for, the guys at the BRM Institute, especially Marilyn Wong, Aaron Barnes, Alexander Zook. My pronunciation of the names are terrible, but they do some incredible, incredible work. And I recently seen a BRM solution developed by someone called Simon Kent from Solertis, and I was very impressed how the solution, which was built, if I'm not mistaken, on a Cherwell platform, was able to translate that process, the ways of working, into an actual solution, a tool set, which provides with measurable information and traceable, trackable information. So BRM, it's not just a soft, how to say it, something out there, which is attached to a job title, or it's not just me being able to be a good communicator. It's now becoming something more subtle and real. And with the appearance of solutions like this, I think that's going to be even better. And that type of an interpretation and conversation between is going to be even more successful if you use something like this.
I agree, and it's been interesting to see BRM kind of codify, I guess, as an area of practice. So the BRM Institute are doing some fantastic work, and if you're watching this and you're interested in BRM, joining the Institute is a relatively small investment for the access that you get to the discussion forums, the community, the body of knowledge. It really is a brilliant place to start your journey. So just kind of a few final thoughts then. How do you see the role of BRM evolving perhaps in the next 5 to 10 years?
One thing I would like to see, and I'm hoping that this is something the effect of BRM Institute and the BRM Institute will help with this, is I still see, sadly, with lots of organizations, the classic BRM role as a BRM job title as a sales role. And it's almost like a sales business analyst type of role, which is almost only about, when it comes to like the development side of certain areas, and let's run a project to add an enhancement to some business product, and we need IT for that. And classically, in lots of organizations and things, the BRM role was quite sales and orientated towards these projects. And I think it needs to evolve to become what the BRM Institute is promoting. And it's about the value harvesting. It's about the business impact value understanding, where the BRM role, whoever fulfills it, it will be everything. It wouldn't be just a job title. It will be the skill set, the role, the capability, the process, the everything around it, where the BRM role will help on this journey for businesses to achieve, what's the right word, and IT as well, kind of sitting not in between, but, with half a leg here and half a leg there, understanding both sides, but able to raise both parties, take both parties on the journey to make them become peers and partners in their strategic, I would say, like outfit and their strategic vision. Nowadays, as you can see, lots of businesses are talking about going digital. What does it mean even going digital? And I see that the modern current BRM role is that. Similarly, how other roles in IT have to evolve, especially like the CIO's role or the service delivery role, I would see that the BRM role as well, it's time for it. And I can see some good examples as well as bad ones to step away from this. I'm representing IT in the business and I'm a salesperson. BRM is much more than that.
That's something I would very much like to see as well, and I think it's one of the areas that a lot of organisations do struggle is where does BRM sit? Is it an IT thing? Is it a business thing? And of course, the ideal solution is somewhere in the middle, like you say, with a foot in both camps. So we've come to the end of our time. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. It's lovely to talk to someone who's been involved with BRM, and just hearing your stories and your interest in how IT affects us on a day-to-day basis is fantastic. So thank you very much, Andie. And if you want to do any further reading, you can contact the BRM Institute, you can contact ITSM Zone on Twitter, or use the hashtag ITSM Crowd if you've got any questions, and Andie's on Twitter as well too, @Andie Kis. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, Andie.
Thank you. Bye.